Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to this wonderful live stream that we are going to have today, and it's going to be tremendously exciting because we are going to have some amazing positions that we are going to pose you along with the one and only the legend Judith Polgar, who will be joining us. And also, we are going to talk about her chess festival that's going to happen on the 8th of October 2022. It's called the Global Chess Festival. And many of you would be aware about it. Last year also it happened. Now, this year, it's going to be even bigger. So, there's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to get a lot of information, but there will also be positions that you have to solve, and you can win Judith's books. And this is something very interesting because there's this book of Judith called A Game of Queens. And this is the one which you will get if, and there are certain conditions that you will have to fulfill as we go through the stream. And Judith has written 3 books. This is the third book of the 3 book series. So it's going to be very, very interesting. We are going to solve this something known as Chess Artistry Adventure, and we will talk more about it with Judith. So I think, guys, can you hear me well? And is everything fine? We have people joining in. Get ready, guys, to solve some positions, and let me know in the chat if you can hear me well. Okay, yes, yes, yes. Everyone's great. Let's, without any further delay, welcome the one and only Judith Polgar. Hello, Judith.
Hi, everybody. Nice to be here with you, Sagar.
Judith, every year you bring together this amazing chess festival called the Global Chess Festival. And this year as well, it's happening on 8th of October. So, like now only 15, 16 days left.
Well, yeah, it's always a lot of preparation before the festival. I start usually about half a year in advance, but even now already with some of my ideas, which I thought it would be nice, I just put it already for the next year basket that on that year we are going to do this one. And I always like to show the diversity of chess, what it can offer to everyone, to all ages. So that is why we make a huge variety of programs regarding and in connection a lot with education, as I have a method so people and kids especially can try those out. We always have an educational conference, well, already for the second time, but before also we had some educational platforms and workshops. We have, of course, a simultaneous exhibition that is always kind of the heart of the event.
Hmm.
Also, a chess tournament will be taking place in Hungary. But this year, in the focus is women in chess, women in science. We are going to have about a 3 hour discussion, talks, and debates on this topic, which is going to be online as well. And this year, we are going to repeat the hand and brain big battle. We're going to talk about that, I hope.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. So can we just quickly have a look at a few of the programs which are online so that people who are all across the world, not just in Budapest, can watch it on online.
Yes, basically we have like 2,500 square meter. It's going to be in the Hungarian National Gallery. We have really a lot of activities, and we are also going to be having this activity. What we are doing, there is a chess cafe by Morgan Stanley, where a lot of the employees play chess, and that's why they also want to show a lot of or quite a few chess studies to show to the public there because we have many thousands of people visitors. But of course, I'm happy to talk more about the online programs as your Indian audience most likely, unfortunately, will not come to visit my festival, though we still have some Indian visitors.
Oh, for sure. I think you also have an Indian speaker on the panel. So let's get to who are the people who are going to be part of it. So, firstly, I think, Judith, you are one of the champions out there who is pushing chess in schools, who is trying to sort of understand chess in education in a more close manner and trying to spread that. So I think a lot of the Global Chess Festival online programs are revolving around education, if I'm not mistaken.
Generally, I believe education is kind of the center, the heart of the festival, because even though the festival is for age group from 4 to 120, everything somehow goes back and merges into education. Whether we talk about how women are treated in the chess world, or what are the educational part for how do you want to raise your kid, whether they are a girl or a boy, whether you want to make it professional chess player or not, or generally educating not only kids necessarily, but also adults, just to have a new kind of mindset or get familiar with the new trends and how we can develop ourselves seeing new and innovative things as well.
Fantastic. Okay, so the I think one of the most important persons who is going to visit your education summit this year is the Minister of Education from Georgia, and he has made chess sort of in spread in Georgia in a big way, right?
Yes, because Georgia, and probably most of or many of the viewers know that Georgia is a great it has a great history of chess, especially in women chess, because they were controlling the chess world
Mm.
for quite a few years, I think more than a decade or so, back in the 80s. And
Right,
actually the Hungarian team with this my sisters, we crushed this
right.
incredible team in 1988 in the Olympiad, and we won the gold medal. So there is a huge tradition in Georgia of chess. And with the leadership of the minister Mikhail Kelly, he made it that it's obligatory from this year, September, for all grade one students. They will have a class
Oh,
weekly about chess. He's a mathematical teacher, math teacher himself. And I was talking with him, and he was very convincing that he was a great believer that he thinks that nowadays it is an essential help for development for kids to include chess in the education. And this is why he became the patron of the Educational Chess Summit this year, because I thought that he's really representing not only in his mindset and his talks, but he actually was ready to make actions as well.
fantastic. That's amazing to know that chess is going to be part of curriculum in an entire country. And so this basically sums up sort of what the educational summit is going to be all about. It's very beautifully made here, so many things on the screen. And I think there are a lot of benefits for chess in education. So you've mentioned all of that here. And I think there will, yeah.
Basically, yes, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, please go on, Judith.
No, basically, we wanted to have a graphic, which is also something very appealing to look around, to read out what's written there. Basically, the clear message is that the game itself is something that it makes you grow as a human being. It also gives an opportunity for different age group of people that they can speak the same language, whether on the corner you see an older man with a little girl playing chess. Also, how important chess can be used to improve your memory, decision making, strategical thinking. It develops a lot, some of the most important skills. Uh, and this is why we wanted to make this poster, so that we not only talk about things, but it's appealing also for your eyes, and you remember that,
Mm,
okay, so what are the benefits of chess in education?
very nice. And so there will be a lot of people who will come and speak about it. So people can hear them online. For example, there would be Adriana Salazar, who has been teaching for more than 25 years in preschool.
Yeah, she's going to be talking about that. It's going to be a discussion with Leoncio Garcia, he's going to be the host of the event, and he's an expert as well in chess in education, apart from being an excellent journalist for many decades. She's going to be talking about how important and how it can be implemented, and her experience and successes with early age kids.
Fantastic. And then we also have Rita Atkins, who will be joining in. She's a mathematics teacher and also a WIM.
She's also a chess player, pretty strong
Yeah.
chess player, but she's a mathematician teaching in school. Right now, I think she's not, but she has a lot of practice. And she's also working on a book that she wants to be publishing. But mainly now she's going to be talking about the logic board, which is a platform which can be used for educators in schools, where you can use the chessboard not only with the chess pieces, but also you can have other things to put on a board of
Oh,
eight times eight. So you can use it for letters, for different skills to develop in the classroom, and that's what she's going to be showing.
that's very interesting. And then we have Marta Amigo, and she's also going to talk about how chess works transversally in education.
Yeah, she has also quite an experience, and she's a chess player herself. That how in Catalonia, in Spain, it was integrated into the educational system.
Fantastic. We have Filipe Vukojevic, who's going to use chess as a tool for foreign language initiation. Wow, that's interesting.
Yes, because chess is a very universal educational tool, I must say, because many of you, and we know how difficult it can be, but when you start to split up to small slices how rich the chess is, then you can use it for modeling for many things, and especially you can use it for motivational, from the motivational aspect. And Philip was explaining me, and he has a lot of experience in this, many decades he's using, as he's a linguist and he's a translator and does many other things with languages, but he's exceptionally focusing on how to motivate kids through chess learning foreign languages. And I'm very much looking forward myself to see his presentation.
Okay, brilliant. That will be very interesting. And then we have physical education on the giant chessboard, the newest program of Judith Polgar method. What is that?
Yes, this is actually my method we started to develop back in 2010. Then from 2013 in the elementary school, it's an optional subject. Now it's about yearly 40,000 kids who are involved in the program. In 2017, we also created the preschool program. And just last year, we developed the chess PE, the chess physical education, which means that you have a big chess rug, and you have different physical movements in the PE class.
Mm,
So it can be also very motivational for the kids, as you see on the graphic.
wow, that is so cool. I think you're just finding very new and exciting ways to teach chess to school kids, right?
Well, I don't hide it that my real aim and that my belief that right now, while educators, decision makers, school principals, they are hesitating sometimes whether to have chess and include chess in the system or not. And my goal is that it's not matter of question whether it's not the that's not should be the question that if, but I think it's much more important which one you want
Mm,
to include in your educational system, because there are so many different ways that you can use for kids development, having chess in the classroom and in education, that I'm a real believer of that.
tremendous. And then we have Stefan Kinderman, who is a grandmaster from Germany, and he's going to talk about strategy and decision making for kids.
Yeah, he has a program himself, which is for business people, also business companies. He many times gives lectures on decision making, but he expanded this to kids. And this is what he's going to be talking about. What is his experience of the Munich Academy, how they develop decision making for kids using chess, and also actually they develop the chess yoga for kids, which I'm
Oh,
also excitedly looking forward to hear about.
chess yoga. Wow. I actually learned a lot of yoga recently, and so I'm going to watch this and try to see what is chess yoga. And then we have Ashwin, who is from India, and he's going to travel to Budapest, and he's going to talk about how to become a leader by playing chess.
Well, Ashwin is a good friend of mine and probably good friend of you and maybe of our viewers as well. He's a wonderful person who is really a chess enthusiast very much. He's a frequent visitor. He's annually visiting. I think already he was in Hungary 4 times. Maybe this is going to
Mm.
be the fifth. I'm not sure. And I think it's very interesting his approach. Last year, he also gave a very interesting speech about
Heart rate, HRVA.
heart rate.
Yes.
Yes, yes, how it can be measured, which was very interesting and very modern. And now he's going to be talking about how chess helped him and why he believes that chess is so good for kids because you can use it already in a later stage in your life, even if you're not becoming a professional player. But the chess, the logical thinking, the creativity, the process, how you make a decision, and this is what he's going to be talking about.
I'm looking forward to this one as well. And then we have Jerry Nash, who's going to talk about what kind of person do we want our daughters to become. I think this one is about girls. So there's women in chess plus education. I think both of them combined, right?
Absolutely. Jerry is very known in the educational chess platforms. He's from the USA
Yes.
and he's helping out a lot now already in FIDE and also in some other platforms in the US. And basically, he will tell about his experiences, how he encourages girls, and what are the positive effects when chess becomes a part of the girl's life. And what is also very important for me that we have lecturers or presenters who have a lot of
Right.
experience what they are doing. So what they are saying, it's really experiences for many years or even decades.
Fantastic. And then we have Anastasia Sorokina, who's been part of FIDE, I think, for a long time. And she's going to talk about infinite chess for kids with ASD. That's a very interesting topic because it's for kids who have autism.
Yes, she makes, I think she's taking big part in social projects as part of FIDE. And she herself and some of her colleagues developed a program where teachers who work with autistic kids can learn some of the tools and the secrets, how they can use it with those kids for developing them and make their concentration better. And this is what she's going to be talking about.
Very cool. And we also have Malcolm Payne, whom I recently interviewed when he was in India and has done so many things in chess. And he talks about how can chess build community and raise social awareness, which he has done already in UK.
Well, basically, he's of course also one of a key person who made a big step in chess in education. He started the community chess in schools and
Right.
communities initiative back in 2010. So he also has a more than a decade experience. They go and take chess to the classrooms in class hours, during class hours usually. And basically, all around the country, they have teachers who are going out and using chess and bringing chess into the classrooms. And he has another initiative now, the Chess Fest, what he started, I think, two
Yes.
years ago
Yes.
in the Trafalgar Square. They have a huge action happening. And so I think he makes a really big community
Hmm.
building through chess.
Tremendous. It's fantastic to see how much can be achieved through chess, and I think this global chess festival brings that forth. So
I hope so.
it is already like looking at the list, one can feel that excitement. And then there's a short film by Jenny Schweitzer. This is about girls in chess.
Yeah, this is a very cute film. It's only 3.5 minutes. If somebody is interested, I can just advise to watch it because it's very short. It is a very, very focused, very little film about girls playing in a girls competition, and then many of the girls say their views, how they feel, why they think chess is not only for boys, and why they consider that they like to play the game, why is it beneficial for them, for their education. So it's a short film which I thought it's nice to show, as it really much connected to education and the girls topic especially.
That's very cool. And then we have Nicolas Gonzalez Garcia, who's actually what can be made from tires that have been withdrawn from circulation. So it's like they're going to talk about upcycling.
Basically, they are a company who I think not long time ago, several years already, they are making different forms of things, but especially they design very beautiful chess pieces, which is the classical stand-on form of the chess pieces, but from the 50 centi to the really giant, like 2.5 meters or something. And you can see their chess set. I think one of the biggest one last year, it was applicated in the park in Norway, in the Norway chess. All the participants went out to play and with these huge pieces. And
Oh, that one.
they, yeah, and they practically in Spain, they have a lot of activities through these big chess pieces. They go out to big squares in Spain. There are a lot of big, beautiful squares. And they have a lot of chess sets out there with this garden chess set, like 20 of them, let's say.
Okay.
And they have school children to come over and they have a full day of fun and competition. And I wanted him to be talking in the festival how chess pieces and, of course, recycling is something very important to have a sustainable life, which is also very nicely connected to education, right?
Right.
And so this is a little bit on the side of the education, but still it's something which can be very spectacular. And in Spain, it is very actively a great motivation for schools and kids to take part in the classes and later on to take part on these open air activities by organized by them.
Tremendous. Very cool. And then we have Jesper Bergmark Hall, who's going to talk about how to develop a good chess project for kids.
Yeah, this is going to be a discussion with Leoncho as well. And well, he's pretty known for different angles. First of all, he's a chess coach himself. He was a chess player back many years ago, but now he's more mentoring, teaching, and mainly organizing. And he's very much in the chess in school activities as well. And he had many projects which were done in a very nice way. So we can say maybe that he's the biggest expert on organizing chess related social events.
Mm, awesome. And then you have there's sort of a discussion, panel discussion between yourself, Dana Reiznische, who is the managing director of FIDE, Zura Bazmai Parashvili, who is the president of ECU, and Liansho Garcia, who is one of the key people in this entire summit. So I think that's going to be about chess in education and what the next move should be.
Yes, because the diversity of the educational chess summit is very important that we really talk about. We have actually little focus on the preschool, which goes all the way that why chess is good in your life, in your future job. But also, of course, it's very important, I believe, to say and talk what the decision makers and what are the World Federation FIDE and the European Federation in the leadership, what do they think, how it's progressing, what are the plans, how much is it important, what are the priorities. and what are the future prospects they are aiming for, or what do they see. So I think it's very important if they have a strategical plan and a vision for, let's say, in the next couple of years, or even if they can visualize something in 10 years, what are the goals.
Amazing. And that small statistic that is there, that there are 92,550 school teachers and 145,690 instructors from outside the school providing chess instruction. This number already shows that how important it is to sort of talk about this.
I also believe, thank you for mentioning that chess in education, I think generally it is already accepted by many of
Yes.
the players in the world. Like parents, for example, they think, wow, chess is
Yeah.
great for my kid, whatever, if it's going to be professional or not, but just for thinking skills and developing, it is a good thing. Also, many decision maker thinks that, well, it's already pretty interesting, but how should I be starting? So there are a lot of people who believe in it, but there are not enough conferences, best practices, which is shown. And this is what I would like to make awareness of, that it's important that not only that in generally that we believe it's good, but somehow to create platforms and show directions to people who already think that it might be interesting and they would like to include it in their education, whether they're parents or decision makers or school principals or teachers, because there are many, many, many ways you can use it in different subjects. For example, you can improve your math understanding and practicing through chess. You can use it for social activities very, very well for different ages. You can use it in many different ways, but I think it's very important that people understand it, that it is a possibility, and there are really hundreds of different ways, and on what proportion you're using chess in the classroom.
Absolutely. And then there's also one very interesting event. It's called the Inspiration Cup. And there's a hand and brain tournament that is going to happen. It happened last year as well. And this year
No,
is
it was the first time in 2019,
2019.
and that was one that was also very interesting event, and also for mixed pairs. And my sister and her husband Jona won. You can see all
So
the
they
team.
are Team Dracaris. Okay. This is some
Yeah,
interesting names. As Dana Castle for Dana Raisnishe and Zura Bazmai Parashili. I think they took their first
yes.
letters. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the mind readers, that is Zoska Gal and Gabor Pap. And
Yes.
the night watch of Sopiko and Anish. And this is, I think, a lot of our viewers are going to root for Sopiko and Anish, it seems.
Yeah, but that's not fair. They are the favorites.
But Sopiko has not played much recently, so we will see. But this is a very interesting tournament, yeah, that is held.
Yes, I like it. Basically, we had it in 2019, the first time. After that, we had the COVID. We had to go online with the festival completely. And then this time we make the second event of this. And I'm very much looking forward. It's basically a 2 hour event because we're going to have semifinals where the players are playing only one game. And only if it's a draw, there is the Armageddon. And in the final, we're going to have two games.
Okay.
And an Armageddon to decide. Because of the shortage of time in the National Gallery, it's also going to be played, but we are going to be separated this events, 3 events in a studio, which is going to be the Hand and Brain, the Educational Chess Summit, and the Women in Chess, Women in Science part.
Fantastic. So if someone lives in the Europe, there are many people who watch this. They can actually come to Budapest and they can watch this. Yeah, they can buy a ticket and see it, or is it just open to all?
The thing is that actually it's an open event for everybody for free
Okay.
on that day, so they can see the gallery, the wonderful Hungarian paintings and the international painters. And also they can enjoy the festival itself. The programs which is going to be online, it's not going to be possible to watch it because it's in a separate room area where, because of for the audio quality,
Ah,
we don't want people to go in, and it's also going to be very small. But all the other activities of the educational platforms, with the challenge parts, the simultaneous exhibition, the chess cafe, the robotics, and all other math and chess and other activities will be, of course, for everybody, and it's for free.
amazing, amazing. And this is something that we are going to discuss today. And it's a beautiful painting here by Maria Yugina. And this is called the Chess Artistry Adventure in the Wonderland in memory of Pal Benko. So, could you tell us a bit about what this initiative is?
Basically, Paul Benko, who was a great grandmaster, international, very known player in the times of Bobby Fischer. Actually, he was the person who gave the spot when he qualified and Bobby didn't. He gave his spot to Bobby, and this is why he became world champion, we can say.
Hmm,
He was a very special man, and he lived age 92, I think, something like that.
right.
And he was my coach, teacher, mentor. We did not meet so many times, but after he moved back to Hungary, then he was weekly or every 2 week. He was visiting me and my sisters. He gave, I also loved studies myself before, but he gave a completely different perspective. He showed me the depths of it. So and the accurate attitude and the beauty of the whole study itself, how it is done, what is the process, and so on. And he was also captain of the Hungarian national team, so I met him in many different places as well. And after his death, I thought I wanted to contribute with something and to make a tribute for him. Last year, we made the chess artistry competition when we had nearly 50 people making and creating their own special, unique, original chess studies. And it was wonderful because most of the top world top composers, they were contributing. And this year we made it a little differently. We made it invitational and we made it a little smaller. And I decided that we should not do competition, because why do we have to make judging when it's so different positions? It's so difficult. It's like judging a painting to another one. It's not
Hmm,
fair because all of the creators and artists, they are composing, they are investing time and energy. So I wanted to make it smaller, and I wanted to make it that everybody does whatever they want to contribute. But there is one rule to it, that this contribution in memory of Paul Benko, that the position which is created, the study, has to be originated, the idea, the inspiration should be coming from a practical chess game.
oh,
And we get 14 chess studies, and as it's not such a big number as it was last year, I asked my friend Maria Yugina that if she can make an artwork painting where all the 14 study will be shown. And this is the artwork she made. So if you zoom in, you will find all the 14 smaller or bigger chessboard.
amazing. I have actually seen all the studies, so I can see it. Like for example, this is Afek here. This one is Minski. So these are beautifully done. So much attention to detail.
Yes, I like it. And I also think that the reason is not only to make a tribute to Paul, but also I believe that the artists, the chess artists, the composers, they deserve a much bigger
Oh, for sure.
recognition, because the artwork they do is, I call it the Michelin star of chess,
Mhm.
because it is not for everybody, but the people who like culinary stuff, they can really taste the difference.
Absolutely. And so today, Judith, we are going to discuss few of the positions from these 14. and we'll see if our viewers can actually solve them. And if they are able to do a good job, and this rules will be announced later, then they can get your book, which is A Game of Queens. And this is the third book that you have written in the series of three books that you have written. So it's about your journey at the top of the world of chess, like in the top 10 players of the world.
Yeah, the second book was about, first book is how I got until becoming a GM, and then the second book is about how to become from GM to top 10. And the third one is about my third part of my chess career, how to stay in the top 10, and also what kind of adventures I was facing in that part. It goes all the way until the last game I played before I retired from competitive chess, which was 2014.
Amazing. So I think people are very excited right now. So Judith, can we go to the chessboard and see the first position?
Absolutely.
Okay. So this one is the first one. Let me just make sure I have the, yeah, this one here. So this one is by Yochanan Afek, and guys, you have to think about it first. It's white to play, but Judith, a couple of words about Afek. I think he's one of the most well-known composers in the world of chess, and I think he became a composing GM in 2015, and he has been composing since 1989. And he's also an IM on the board, like over the board chess. So and we found out that he's the only person in the world to have all four titles. And he's also a trainer, international arbiter, so very multifaceted personality.
He's one of the most practical endgame composer, I think. This is why he's also one of my favorite, because the studies which he makes, sometimes it's too difficult, but many times it's, first of all, it's very pure. When I talk about pureness, I feel that there are not many pieces on the chessboard, and with those limited number of pieces on the chessboard, he really seems to be showing so many different details and patterns of chess that sometimes you just don't understand how is that possible, which also means that sometimes it can be pretty long, 20, 30 moves. So and he's one of the, maybe he was the only player or one of the player who was really composing chess studies and playing parallel for so many decades.
Yeah.
So he's a great chess composer. He also printed, I think, last year a chess book of his
Yes.
studies,
Practical chess
and
beauty.
he's very passionate about this. And he's also someone who was very happy to contribute in memory of Paul.
Amazing. So Judith, when you saw this position, how tough was it? Did you try to solve all of them when you got them?
To tell you this truth, not, because when I get the position, somehow I'm with a member of my team. We talk about it. I go through pretty fast or slower, and then I start chewing it again and again, and then I think about it. And of course, I have my favorites. I have my whatever, for whatever reason. This I liked very much because this actually I solved, because this is, I think, one of the easiest chess study by Afek,
Right.
and it is asking for it. Like, it is very clear what is the first move, because you cannot do anything to defend the e7 pawn, right? So you have to do some action in order to be able to somehow to protect your pawn. So you would want to protect it with your f pawn, but you cannot jump too, but still. I don't know if I can say moves, or we
So
have the
yeah,
public.
so they have, a lot of people have contributed, and as you can see here,
Oh, we have a strong
everyone,
audience.
yes, they have found F5, and Kavnur, Arnab, Neeraj, Satya, Chandan Nagar, Krikwayo, Avyaya, Priti, Satyam, Maninur. Well done, guys. F5 is the correct move. Yes, Judith.
Absolutely. But in this study, it is pretty obvious that there's no other option.
Mm.
And this is how it goes in endgames, right? That many times it's not that you know exactly the good move, but you know that there is no other move. And this is the case here as well. That's why it comes to mind very fast.
Correct. So F5, and I think if this takes, then
E8.
it's winning. Yes, E8 and takes, and then knight D6, and you win the bishop, and you have an extra pawn. So F bishop H5 played in this like the main line, and then as you said, we save the pawn. But the main issue is King E6 here to attack the pawn.
Yeah, now it becomes again something that you see that, oh my God, the f6 pawn is going to be taken in the next move. So what can I do? You see very fast that you have to make something. At the same time, the next move, one or two move, it comes to me very naturally
Hmm.
because of the so many patterns I've learned. So the pattern recognition is applied here.
Right. But I know for a fact that I gave these positions to few people, and one of them, who's a very good solver, took a lot of time in this position. Like he couldn't find this
Really?
somehow. I think he got a little confused there. So let's see if our chat is able to spot it well.
Yeah,
And
but I just love knights, so I know how I'm a very good, I don't know how you say it in English, who teaches knights.
Mm,
So I'm in a very good friendship with knights. I know what their possibilities are.
mm.
So I know this pattern, this geometry.
I think very talented players are very good with knights, right? Like for example, Anand is also very good with knights. You are very good. Even in the recent, I see some of the players who are tactically very alert are very good with knights.
Maybe,
Hmm.
yeah. I think maybe we can say also that the knight can be the most unexpected tactical
Correct.
piece out of all. Because from a queen, you expect to be tactical
Hmm.
and to be powerful, right? Knight, okay, it's there on b7. What can it do?
And our chat is, well, we had a lot of moves that came in, but I think the right move got the most number of votes, and that is E8, right? Uh,
Yes, e8 is the correct move. After that, bishop is capturing.
yes.
And
So
of course, you have to make e8. And if you make that move, you know exactly what your next move is going to be.
okay, so guys, let's see if you knew what your next move is going to be. Here, after bishop E8, what's the point of this?
So maybe those
Okay, they
player
knew
will
it.
also say,
They knew
yeah, but
it.
now everybody knows it.
They knew it. Although, yeah, guys, you can't play knight d6 because the king just takes it, and then it's the pawn is stopped there. But as most of you have found, we have more than 50 people who have nearly 50 people who have found this f7. What a beautiful move! Because if you take here, I think, Judith, this is a very nice one. Yeah, like whichever way you capture, there's a knight fork.
But also, I think it's very interesting that it looks like, for me, it looked an easier study.
Hmm.
But even here, it's only a few moves until this point. But after f7, if we move on and we see that what happens if bishop takes f7, knight goes to d8, we capture on f7, still there is a very small detail that if that little pawn would be standing not on f2 but f3, actually it would be a draw.
Oh, right, right. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Otherwise, because of the key squares moving forward, so that would be. And
So
here,
there is still a very important opposition
hmm,
element, which of course you have to know as a beginner if you want to win a pawn end game with the king. But still, it's a nice touch, and it shows very well that no matter how winning you are, you have to find these very nice patterns of sacrificing two pawns to be able to simplify the position to win the pawn end game. But still, you have to be accurate in the last moves.
right. The entire chat is now saying king e3. Okay, so let's
Eh?
let's play that. And if black goes king e6, and now I think you go uh, king f4. and king f6. I think this might be one moment, final moment to ask them what should white play.
But the thing is, you're not ruining your position. Even
Right.
if you don't play the best move, you're not ruining your position. You just have to repeat and get back to
Correct.
this setup.
But finally, they have to find this move here, which would win the game. So I think the end game of generally people who are starting out chess, the end game is usually the trickiest part. But I think not here because everyone has got the move f3.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I see.
well done, Rayan, Shaibi Binoj, World of Wit, Akul, Raunak, SS, Chess D, Pranay Akula, Mitran, and Arth Gada. Well done, guys. So f3 is the correct move here. And white wins. Okay, that was very cool. And Judith, this was actually inspired from a real game. So I can just pull up that game to show. It was a game of Grishchuk.
And the reason is I wanted to have this special theme based on a practical game, because this is what I feel and believe, that end games can really give a very, very good improvement for players, especially, of course, if you want to be a competitive player, because it forces you, first of all, to be very accurate. It forces you to look for the defense and interesting opportunities for your opponent, which is many times underestimated the importance of that. And of course, your calculation skills, you're just polishing it nonstop.
Amazing. Yeah, that's so all the youngsters, and there are many youngsters I know from the name who are watching this. This is a big advice that you all should keep in mind, that solve studies, endgame studies, it will help you. And this was the game Popov Grishchuk, where Grishchuk went g2, and it sort of inspired Afek to make this study. Because
But of course, if you see it here, this is the one idea, right? It's pretty simple.
correct.
But he, with those very
Yeah.
few pieces on the board, he created many small details and added a little bit more to it.
Now they understand why you call them the Michelin star of the composers of the chess world. So this is, and guys, please keep in mind these studies, because at the end of it, we are going to ask you something, and as the show goes on, as we go on, there'll be more studies. So keep in mind what you are watching here, because in order to win the book, you need to keep things in your head. So Judith, can we go to the next study?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go to one which is not as easy as this one, but okay, it's slightly complicated.
I think this was the first one which we received.
Yes, it's the first one, and also if we, it's composed by Martin Minsky, and a few words about him. Martin was the former Wise World Champion in studies from the years 2016 to 2018. And then the result of 2019 to 21, the World Championship, has been declared recently. He's placed 5th in the world. He started composing in 93 and has composed 600 studies till date. Last year, he was conferred with the Grandmaster title, and he's someone with great theoretical understanding. So I think he's one of the finest composers right now in the world of chess.
Absolutely, he's one of the best, and he's very young, as we can see. Not a teenager, but a young man.
Right.
And I think he's a grandmaster in classical, in normal form of chess.
Really?
Because I think this is also very important, that many of the composers, we can say that they are not chess players. We don't have many practical chess players who compete, who also compose. But what I also like to highlight, that it's not only that you can be a good composer as a practical player. We are going to be talking maybe later about Timman as well.
Yes.
He's one of the biggest example, the top player who is composing extremely interesting compositions. But what is also very interesting, that composing chess studies, it's also modernized, and modern composing is also about checking your compositions with a machine. and also the machine can help you. This is the reason that don't think that only a 2300 player can do. We had quite a few. For example, last year also I had someone making, he was 16 or 17 and his rating was 1600. So you can create your own chess study composition, being not so strong as a chess player, but still if you have an idea with some other partner and also with the machine, you can develop your idea to become something very beautiful, which is also very much appreciated from those who usually think that the big composers and stronger players are the one who creates the
Absolutely.
best
You're
compositions.
very right. And I think Martin Minsky is a GM in composing, but actually he's maybe even unrated on over the board chess. Uh,
No, I think he's international master or grandmaster.
because I just searched on FIDE and I couldn't
No?
find his profile
Ah,
here.
maybe I'm mixing up him with something. I
Mhm.
thought he's a good player. He's a strong player.
But it fits in with what you just said, that anyone who can have the creativity and can work hard can try and become a good composer.
Yeah.
So he's rated around 2000 when he used to play, and then he
Okay.
became very focused on studies. Shatanik, who is in the chat,
Hmm.
he tells us
Ah,
about
okay.
him.
Then sorry, I was mixing up him with someone else. Okay.
But this position which he created is actually quite complicated, and when you look at it, it is interesting because when I saw it, I thought it's very tough to find the first move. But whenever I gave someone this puzzle, they actually hit on the first move instantly. I don't know if that was the case with you as well.
Actually, at first when I saw it, I have to tell you that I said, "Oh, well, this is not really a
Mm,
study.
mm.
It's a middle game."
Right.
It's kind of an end game with queens, but it's a mess. There is no harmony between pieces. And actually, the first move completes the harmony between the pieces. And actually, it's a very logical, practical move because you see that the f6 king might be in trouble, but of course, it can be in trouble if it cannot escape. So
Right.
if we let the king escape through the e5 to somewhere, and also this b1 bishop looks so ugly, blocking with the rook on c2, right?
Right.
So the first move is kind of logical from this perspective that you make a move which gives activity for yourself and also limits the opponent, which is usually very important.
Brilliant. So the right move, actually, let's have a look at what our chat says. And this time, there's not a unanimity, but the right move is the one which has been quoted the most. So Arka, Nihar, Efthymios, Chandan Nagar, Adi, Anurag, Shaibi, Krikwayo, Ethereum, and Satya. Well done, guys. Rook E2. Judith, could you tell us what is the idea behind this move? Like,
Well, basically, the primary idea is really to cut the king's route, right?
mm,
So on the e file, the king cannot escape. So now, if let's say the queen would be not on h5, then knight h5 would be checkmate immediately, right? So already
mm,
it is very dangerous for black because black has to look after to this pattern in a later stage as well. And we can see that the rook on b4 is kind of out of play, and the b1 bishop suddenly became extremely powerful on that diagonal.
right. You gave a very important point here, that if
Because
the
I'm
queen
nice.
that if the queen isn't there, it's a mate. So, but I think the next point is the toughest here, because after bishop b6 check, what is it that white should play here, guys? Because black has given a check. Where do you move your king?
I think these are the situations I again can only highlight why I think it's very educational and it gives you a better understanding of how details count in chess.
Hmm.
Because you can see that you have your pieces of teamwork, right, between your rook and queen and knight and bishop, and every all of them takes a role here. And the king is a very exceptional role in chess. In some ways, you always have to protect it. When it comes to endgame, you have to be active with the king. And it matters where it's standing.
Right.
And in some cases, it can block your own piece, right?
Absolutely.
And here you think, I mean, what's the difference between king f1 and king h1? I leave my rook on the second rank anyway, it can move. I can go king g2, king h2. What's the difference?
In fact,
So it's
king
like,
h2 looks the safest to put the king on h2.
absolutely, that looks the safest. But of course, if you make calculations, you have to reconsider all of them. And for example, it's very interesting. This is very interesting, I think, for practical players, for example, this position. That what is the move that you make intuitively? Because when you're at the board, you get a check on b6 and you start to calculate something, right?
First
And
move.
this is why it's very important when you, sorry, when you looked and solved a lot of studies, you have intuition that somehow in this position, maybe you should be doing something something important, only move, right? And in a game also, it's important that you have intuition. Which move are you going to be start calculating? Because sometimes you don't have enough time.
Right, right. And I think this is very important. And I think if you just go by intuition, people can go wrong here, right? Because it is not the most common move. And as we see in the chat as well, they are right now, because they don't want to get checked again, I think they have preferred king f1. And we have king h1 by a few people. But I think that's not the most natural move, because there's a check here coming from the queen.
Absolutely, it's absolutely not the most natural move. King f1, I think, is the most natural, and king h2 is the second one.
Right, right.
You don't want to go to the long diagonal, right, into a check. But at the same time, if it's a check, the queen is moving away from the defense.
Correct. So how would you explain here? I mean, do you go and calculate the line, then retract back the king? Like you put the king in your head, like in the air, okay, it can go here, or how does one calculate? What would you say?
Well, I think if you solve a study, many times you have a feeling after some time, you sense it by intuition that, well, king h1, you still need your rook on the second rank, okay?
Right.
But it can easily be that I say, okay, king h2, I start calculating what is the defensive move after king h2, rook b3, or bishop g1, or whatever. And then if you calculate it, but the problem is also, for example, that in this position, if you're in a game, you may think that king h2, rook b3, which I just don't want to be the spoiler.
Yes.
And when we get there, then we see you may stop at that point of calculation, and then it's too late to recognize that the king on h2 was not well placed.
Correct, correct. So guys, the right move here is king h1. Although you have to go like till the end to understand why this is the only move here. The main line of this study goes rook takes b3, and now you have to find the next move. What is the best move for white? And I'm very happy that all of you in the chat are thinking on your own. Guys, don't try to use any external assistance. Try to think on your own. Try to get the right answer, so that you can learn out of this, because the prize, that is Judith's book, is not dependent only on you giving the right move. There is also more to it. So please try to think, try to grasp it on your own.
Well, I'm happy that we can discuss all these details and why I have this love for endgames, and why is it something very good to solve endgames, even if it's sometimes painful or it seems difficult. I think you can really feel the perfection of it and the feeling of discovery.
Correct. I think if you get the right answer, like till the end, it is such a huge feeling of satisfaction.
Yes, yes,
You
exactly.
feel like
That,
your day is
wow,
great.
it's so beautiful.
So here in this position, I think the chat is right on the ball, and they have done a fantastic job finding Queen F3. Neeraj, Puran, Anurag, Dynamic, Taskin, Satyam, Avyaya, Shaibi, Dragon Slayer, and Chandan Nagar. You guys have cracked it. Queen F3. And Judith, this comes back to your small hint that you gave, that if there was no queen there, then Knight H5 is a mate.
But this is pattern recognition, you know. This is why the talented kids, of course, when they solve hundreds, thousands, and hundreds of thousands problems or tactics, it means that it just comes to your hand. It just flashes up that knight h5, so I have to move the queen, right?
Correct.
This is why it's important that queen f3. But after queen f3, you can just say, okay, queen f3 done. Bye. See you tomorrow, knight h5 mate. But there is still, or you have to look for the defense of black, which is always a very important thing, which young kids forget to do because they say, queen f3 is so beautiful, knight h5 mate. No. It's not over yet.
So guys, now what do you do? Yes, resistance is the key, and black resists here, doesn't take the queen, goes back to g7. What is the move you play here?
And what is also very interesting and very special in endgame studies, that a good endgame study, you will not find any piece just being there. Every piece has to be there supporting one or another idea or covering a square. For example, I can say now, I don't know if it's going to be confusing or helping, the d6 knight is very important not only against knight f5 check, but also to cover the square e8.
Ooh, e8.
Mm-hmm.
But in this study, does that come about, knight covering the e8 square?
Yes, because otherwise, another way, there would be an easier win.
Okay.
Okay, so if the knight would be on c5, let's say, then first of all, well,
yeah,
okay,
just as an example,
you understand that the e8 square would be important, and there could be a checkmate.
Correct. Very nice. Okay, and by the way, again, this time it's slightly tricky because they felt queen f6 and knight h5, although the queen f6 move has the most number of votes here, but knight h5 as well, a few people thought. But the right move, of course, is queen f6 first. Very important, because if you go knight h5, king g8, there is no way to make progress.
Yes, because knight f6 will only lead to perpetuate check.
Correct. So queen f6, and now once again, if you take, there is this mate. And so queen f6, good job by Omkar, SS, Arnav, Neeraj, Avyay, Shaibi, Nirban, Ashwin, Chess with Adi, and Chess Knight. Good job, guys. So king g8 was played in the game, and now I think for the final important move in this study, guys, what do you do?
Well, after we explained king h1,
now this is the reason why king h1 was important. If the king was on h2, this next move would not work. And actually, this is what a lot of people will get into trouble with while solving. So, Judith, a few people here, not alert, want to play rook h2 because king on h1.
Yes, the idea is very good, but in chess, the problem is that time is very important. And to gain time with white, it's very important to make it with a check. What can I say? The problem is if you play rook h2, then the bishop on b1 is under attack, and it's a check. So we cannot give mate on h8. Otherwise, it would be a very good move.
Absolutely.
This is why things has to be forced, which means in chess that you have to give a check or attack something to gain time.
Brilliant. And also here queen g5, queen g7 somehow doesn't really help. And maybe Judith's point here, which was knight on d6 is important, right?
Exactly. This is what I meant, because otherwise simply rook e8 checkmate. This is why the d6 knight is so perfectly placed in this endgame study.
So the right move...
Because an endgame study is not good also if you have duels, which means that you have two solutions to it. then it's already doesn't taste that good. That then it's something is lost
You
in
have
the
to have
quality.
on every move only one move that wins.
Yes.
Correct. Amazing.
In every different sublines as well. Of course, that's extremely difficult to develop, but there are some amazing ones. And this is, I think, also a very nice one.
You know, Judith, if you look at the chat, there are only chess moves. There's nothing else that people are typing. It's filled with just this move, that move. And so they are also engrossed in solving this. Bishop h7 is the correct move. And well done, guys. This is the correct move here. Arnav, Neeraj, Prasad, Chess Knight, Vinod, Chess with Adi, Krikwayo, Altaf, My Chess World, and Anirban. Fantastic job. He must take. And now as we see, the rook moves up, check here, and that's why the king had to be on h1, and then rook h8 checkmate. So a very beautiful study by Minski here. So
yeah,
and guys, I have a question for all of you. Let's see how many of you are really following chess closely. This study was inspired by which game that happened very recently? It is something that you all might have seen. It happened just a few months ago. So anyone in the chat? And Omkar Chakradev says, why wouldn't king f1 work? Omkar, because when queen f3 check is given, rook takes f3 comes with a check. So the first move itself, like here, if you had played king f1 here, then rook takes b3, queen f3, and it's a check to the king. So that's why you have to play it to h1.
exactly.
Anyone who remembers which game? Not Gukesh, guys. Yes, there was an Indian player playing, but it wasn't Gukesh.
Who suffered? Who was on the suffering side?
who made that move and resigned in that game. So it was a very tragic loss for him. Neeraj Chauhan. Oh, Neeraj, you have given the right answer. I missed it. 1 second. Where is Neeraj? I think Neeraj has all the right answers here. But the right answer, and I'm going to show you that moment from the game. I think it is one of those rare occasions when Vishy had a blind spot, you know. Here, when he played queen b5 against Mamedyarov.
But don't forget that this is also something that I think it happened to Vishy only because he's also doing many other things in his life by now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine Vishy playing this move in a classical game.
But this was rapid, right?
Years ago.
No, this was classical.
I think it was classical.
Second, let me
against Mamedyarov.
Yeah, this was against Mamedyarov.
Was it not Norway?
Yeah, it was Norway chess. Norway chess. Yes, you are right. Norway chess. It was in classical, and the move here is queen f. Actually, the interesting thing was Anand resigned after playing queen b5, and Mamedyarov came to him and said, "Why did you resign?" Because he had not yet seen queen takes f3.
Yeah.
But of course, this.
Yeah, but when you blunder something like this, you just simply you don't want to be in the tactical books where you see this, so you just want to run away in this situation, I guess.
Absolutely. Okay, so here's the next one, and this time we are going to talk about not just a very famous composer, but a very famous chess player as well, who played chess at the highest possible level, and he is Jan Timman. And I think Judith, you yourself would have played against him, right? Over the board.
Well, Jan is a friend of mine. I was also working with him in the 90s, somewhere in the mid 90s. He was a great player. By heart, he's a huge artist. I think it's written on him the way Jan looks also, that he's an artistic guy with his hairstyle, and of course he was an amazing player himself. And I remember that he was not appreciating my chess that much when I was a teenager, but there was one game which after he made a series of interviews and he interviewed me and he said, the game when I felt that you're really good, when you beat Ullman. It was a French defense. I made a very special two-pawn sacrifice for an attack, and that was the turning point for him.
Wow.
This was a game back in Amsterdam, I think 90, and 90 or 91, I don't remember exactly anymore. It was very good game. And later we started to work together in the late 90s, and we developed some good opening preparation, and also of course we shared our both of our love for endgame studies, and he was already developing quite a few endgames and very nice one. He has incredible some amazing ones, though sometimes I feel that Jan's endgame compositions can be more complicated, which I wish to have, because it's really mass and everything is connected to everything, but sometimes I don't feel it so practical that it can really arise from a chess game.
Correct.
But the following one is absolutely like that.
And it's breathtaking, this one. And it is white to play. What would you do here? Guys, try to think. And this game, I'm going to look at it, Judith versus Ullman game, because I would love to see what it was like. I haven't seen it. Omkar Chakradev says, last one also reminds me of Shiro versus Polgar game, although not exactly the same. Maybe the knight h5, this thing. I don't know. Shiro versus Polgar. Was there some kind of a thing there?
Knight h5?
No, not knight h5, but the last study which we saw.
Yeah.
It reminded one of our viewers of your game with Shiro. I have.
But which game of my which game? I played like, I don't know, 30 games with Alexei. I mean that can be a whole story of only my games against Shiro.
Guys, you can just Omkar, if you can mention the year if that game, then we can ask her. Okay, so this one, Judith, if you look at it, there's already some checks happening like queen g2, queen h8. Generally, like in a study, you don't start off with a check, right? Is that the case?
Yes, this is also kind of an unwritten rule, I believe, that you don't the end game study has a lower value when it starts with a check. Sometimes it must start with a check, I must say, but it's not common and it's not appreciated by other composers. It says it's not a nice start.
It doesn't have those spices in it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like mixing things which doesn't strengthen one spice with another. It's like hits out the other spice to feel the best taste of it.
Right. So if queen g2 here, guys, then king b8 and check king c7, there's no win here. So that's why you can't start with that move. The right move, and Judith, our chat once again, sort of doing this pretty well here, have found the move a6.
Yeah, a6 is very important to limit the opportunity to sneak away with the black king.
So a6, well done Satya, Taskin, Dan, Chess with Adi, Neeraj, Suryo, Dharmik, SS and Gunawan and Rohan. Now the thing is, black will play queen c6, but with this move he stops queen g2, and also rook h8 can be met with rook e8. So what is your move here as white?
Sagar, you're so bad.
Well, I just wanted to mess with our viewers, but they are not getting distracted in any way. Look at this.
Everybody has to watch what you say.
Everyone's just like, okay, we don't listen to Sagar anyway. So, guys, fantastic job here. Queen g2 played by everyone here, and well done. Because if you take this, it's a back rank mate.
It's a deflection.
Mm,
So this is why a6 is very strong, because now black continuously has to watch after the 8th rank.
correct. So queen g2, and now I don't know if our chat actually spotted what was black's move here, because I mean, if you don't have a defensive move, it's already lost. So try to find what is the defense here for black to play.
And this is, again, I can repeat that this is the way we learn to understand that we have to pay attention also the reaction of the opponent, because it can very easily happen. I know myself, when I was 6, 7 years old, I would just play queen g2 and I say, wow, I tricked my opponent. And then maybe I get a little surprise.
But a very important point you mentioned here was when you were just 6 or 7 years old.
Yes.
Because I think as you started getting stronger, you started giving a lot of importance to opponents' resources, correct?
Yes. Of course, when you start to become better player, you not only pay attention on yourself, what you are doing, but you have the energy and the experience to focus on your opponent's reactions also. And that's why chess is difficult, because you can't just plan your things. You have to be planning your things at the same time, always be aware of the changes and the new opportunities, what is given in the next move.
Correct. Yeah. So here, the move that everyone's found this. So fantastic job, guys. Here, Rook E2 is played, and good job, Satya, Dan, Pritam, Tim, Arnav, Rajat, Kavnur, SS, Avyay, and Shaibi. Because if you take with the king, you lose the queen, and if you take with the queen, you lose the rook with a check. But Judith,
Yeah, that's the problem, that both of them are taken with check.
right? This study now, from this point onwards, how can one solve it? Because I think it's very complicated in general for someone who's untrained to understand what to do next. They might just give up at this point and say, no, queen g2 is not the move.
Well, this is also why a study is nice, because you know that you cannot give up. You know that there is a solution. Though during the game, nobody is going to be knocking on your shoulder that there is something, pay attention. But here you understand that there are new ideas, nice ideas, precision, and you have to go further in your calculation.
Absolutely.
And many times it's forced, so there's no other way. Those compositions, I struggle myself when there are many misleading opportunities. That's very difficult, because sometimes you can get easily to a dead-end street, and it's a big frustration. And that's not the point why I would like the youngsters and everybody to solve studies. I think it should be a great satisfaction and the challenge of a puzzle. And when you solve it, you're so proud of yourself. And you also appreciate the creator of the study.
Right. And so, guys, here, how do you solve? Like, because here the only move now is king d1, and then black continues with his checks. Check, king c1, check, king b1, takes here, check, king here. And notice that both the pieces cannot be taken here, like, because there is a mate. So rook d2, and now queen takes d2. So here my question to all of you is, it's not a move that you have to tell me, but you have to tell me why can white queen now take the rook and could not take it on this when he had given a check at this point. Rook d2 check. Why couldn't you take it there? So can anyone give the answer to this? Arnav Murlidhar is very quick. Judith, he says b2 is cleared for the king.
Yeah, that's true. But still, if you go all the way with your calculation that king on b2, still you have to see what kind of defensive move black has, because that's still not the end of it.
Yeah. So,
and many cases in a game, if you think about it, you cannot calculate all the way because maybe you don't have the time for it, or maybe you are discouraged, or it happened many times, for example, with Tal also, with his incredible combinations, which were sound or not so sound. But it happens many times that you move on, you think your intuition says, I can do this, and then, oh, you blundered something, or you were not sure, you thought it's good for a draw for sure, and then later on I will check it if I have more. So it's not always that you see all the line until the very end. It happens very rarely.
correct.
But with compositions, you can see that it's possible to have those positions where you have to calculate 10 pairs of moves or 15 even.
How do they say it? Like, make your practice so tough that when you are in the actual game or in the battlefield, it becomes easy.
Yes.
Something like that. So here, queen takes h1, king c2, and all of you were very right that king b2, that square was needed. Otherwise, if let's say in this position he had taken after rook d2, queen d2, then after check, king c2, check, the king does not have this square. So you had to give up that pawn. And then, so here queen d2, queen h1, king c2, queen e4, you have queen b, king b2. But now, as Judith said, queen e7 is the defense. So you need to find what should white do here, how to win.
Yeah, and it's also very important that that compositions, when you solve them and calculate the lines, it also teaches you not to give up so easily.
This one is not easy. I think this is a tricky thing. It's like you had your, like, the best course you had, and then there's still like one more left. And I think people don't have that energy to find this move.
Because this is a point where you could say during the game, I was so close. And it doesn't work, but it would have been so nice.
Correct. And this time in the chat, for a change, the right move is not at the top. The second move, Darth Vader, Harsh Kumar, Indrajit Forever, Chess Unblocked, SS, Arnav Murlidhar, Advait, Pritham, Gunawan, and Shaibi. Well done, guys. Queen h2. Judith, if you could tell us about this move, like, why is this important?
Well, the power of the queen, right? First of all, it stops the king going to b8, which is very important, that the king cannot move to try to escape. At the same time, it's controlling the second square, so black still cannot give a check on the second rank. And the third important thing, which is the most important, white wants to give a checkmate on h8 on the back rank. And this is the problem for black, that the power of the little pawn on a6, which we made in the first move, and the queen in combination, the weakness of the king in the corner of a8, the black queen just cannot hold everything tight. The 8 square, the b7 square, though there is still one defensive move which keeps both protected.
Yes. So if you go, like, let's say queen e8 trying to defend that way, then after this check, it is game over because of this. Or if queen e4, there is queen g8 and it's a mate. But the defensive move now is queen g7, and this is your final move in this study. What should white play here?
Exactly.
And how should white continue?
It's basically the last move, which is about precision here.
And this time our chat is got this one correctly. Well done, all of you. Queen d6, Arnav, Manas, Omkar, Advait, Dharmista, Deepak, Game Kings, Krikwayo, Indrajit Forever, and SS. you get queen d6, and then there's a mate here and a mate here, and both of which cannot be, mainly this is the main issue, cannot be stopped. So it's over. I think there's one more check, but after king a3, it's done. And
Yeah.
Judith, this position is very reminiscent of the Stenitz game. Here.
A very famous one, which I loved when I was a kid, I must say.
Yes, it was against von
It's one of my
Bardeleben.
favorite.
So do check this out, guys. Stenitz played queen g4, g6, and then there was this check, king e8, because the queen was hanging, and then in came this move, check. Because if you take with the king here, rook e1 somehow leads to a mate, and if you take with the queen, then c8 is hanging here. So he had to play this, and then there's a back rank mate. So this is how Timman got inspired with this, with these checks, and it was
Actually, there were other studies who developed this pattern, this idea in others, and Timman improved on those. I think he also wrote me that there were 2 studies which were very good ones, but he improved and modernized it and enriched.
Oh, it's very interesting that you mentioned this, because Judith, I have one study based on this, which is not part of the database. It's by Nielsen, who's Stephen
Okay,
Nielsen,
he's
and
also
Minski.
extremely good.
Yeah, and so this is white to play, and I think, Judith, if you can just try it, and maybe chat can also try it. White to move. What should white do here?
That's a good question. Queen c5 is a threat. Rook e3 is threat.
So guys, you can also see how Judith tries to solve this, and also you guys should think what to play.
Well, I would think king d2 is the first move.
Which one?
King d2.
Really?
King d2 is one of the options.
So quick. It's the right move.
Is the right move.
Yeah, it's the right move. Amazing. I'm surprised that you were just.
Well, the reason is that it comes to my mind because the other thing what came to my mind to play rook c1 to somehow stop queen c5 or rook c2, rook e3, so then that's a check.
Right.
But then I understood king d8 and I just lose. So with king d2, I have a double attack, attacking the rook on e5 and open up the c file and to make some safety to my king.
Okay. And so black here tries for queen f6.
Okay.
Nikhil Roshan says, I thought of rook c1. Nikhil, that's very interesting that you thought of a move that was considered by Judith. And now the queen f6.
Well, my first intention is queen a1.
Okay. Interesting. The square is correct.
Okay. Yeah. So it's rook e1, rook e2, and it goes all the way again.
So rook a1, rook e2, the same.
Rook e2.
King d2, d1.
Rook d2.
Right.
King e1, rook e2, king f1, rook f2. Okay, king h1, king g1, king h1, rook h2, queen h2, queen g1. Yeah, king h1, queen h2.
You mean here, king h1?
Yes.
And now
on rook h2, queen h2.
This way.
Queen g1, queen g7.
And it's not over, yeah?
Well, maybe it's not good, but that it's not over, that's for sure.
So yes, so not king h1 here.
Okay, king f1 and queen f2, queen e1.
Here here.
King, yeah, king f1.
Ah, king f1.
Ah, that's easy. Yeah, and queen c1 exchange of queens. Yeah,
Yes.
queen d2.
And
No, because at first I thought king f1,
mhm.
rook f2, queen f2, queen a1, queen e1, and then queen a6, queen e2. But you go back to give a check on a1.
Ah, so you looked at it deeper and
Yeah, sometimes you complicate matters more than you should.
so this was king d1 and
And queen
queen
c1.
c1. But this was fantastic, Judith. You were very quick and you solved it. And I don't think you are practicing, right, chess at all right now.
No, sometimes I studies some friends send me and I try to solve them, and many I can solve,
Hmm.
but yeah, I'm not practicing daily at all.
Amazing intuition. Judith, do we have time for one last one? Should we look at it or?
Yeah, yeah, let's
Okay.
do the last one.
Let's do the last one now, guys. We have done three. We have done by Afek, we have done by Minski, and we've done by Timman. Now, the last one for today is by Gurgenidze. And just a very quick note about him. So, Gurgenidze is a legend in chess composing. He has composed more than 700 studies. Apart from being a grandmaster of chess composition, he is also a strong chess player and organizer and has written numerous books. And stalemate is one of his specialities. Okay, so a small hint there. Judith, have you met David Gurgenidze?
I think I met him in Batumi, if I remember well, in the Olympiad.
Hmm.
But he's a great composer, and you can understand why I'm saying that. It's a very beautiful one. And the funny thing is, I didn't look back my commentary when I was commentating the inspiration game, which was for this study. But I have a feeling that I was mentioning in my commentary those ideas,
Oh, you,
which was
you so
actually
you were
developed
actually the
here.
live commentator of that match, the real one, and
Yes.
then in that final position where Magnus
I think
resigns.
I named it. I
Oh,
wouldn't be surprised if I would say something like that. If it would be this and that, it could be such a nice saving opportunity.
oh,
I didn't
nice.
look at it back, but I can imagine that I discovered that. Of course, it's very tempting because, well, we can say that it's a stalemate at the end, which
Correct.
does not look so obvious from this position. But we shouldn't forget that it's black to move
Yes,
here.
it's black to play, guys. And I think when Judith showed me this position, I think this was the only one which you showed me. I thought that it was over, and then when you showed the last two moves, my jaw just dropped. And I think this is the beauty of this one, guys. Try to figure out what is the move here for black, and then it moves on a bit. Okay, so the first move, as you all have rightly guessed, and is not a spectacular move, it's just a very natural move. Queen d1 check, king goes up, check, and now after king h1, I think, Judith, here it's like the knight and queen can combine together and launch a mating attack.
Yeah, that is a very common way of giving checkmate with queen and knight. But somehow, even though that the white queen is far away and the bishop is far away, still, of course, the bishop on the diagonal is defending back a little bit for the king.
Correct. So queen f1 or queen f3, both are fine. He went king h2, check, king h3, and now queen f1, king h2, and black took knight takes f6 here. So here's your question now. What should white play here?
The thing is that I think it will rarely happen, even with the best players, that they would consider the best move here. Because of course, your intuition says that you see that there is a check on d8, c8, and b8, right? So
Yes.
this is something there. but you're focusing on the threat of knight g4. So what's the only way to defend with this way is we don't want to say the move. So basically there are 4 moves which you have to consider here. Bishop g2 comes to mind immediately because that's already you say, oh, bishop g2, knight g4, king h3, and it's only a perpetual check. I saved it.
Right.
And I think only after that you would think that if you discover that maybe it's not the best, that so am I lost or do I have something else? And if you're seeing a chess game, let's say I'm standing as a captain to watch a game and I'm there, I say, okay, what can we do? Bishop g2, knight g4, king h3, oh, king, okay, I have a check. Something goes out, okay. How can I defend? Queen g1, and then there is a check on d8, king f7, no more checks. King c8 also, king f7, no more check. Bad luck. If there would be no bishop and no pawn, then I could sacrifice my queen and it's a stalemate, right? So you can think of this way that knowing a lot of patterns, that if this would be not on the board, that would be not on the board, maybe I could save the game, but not this way.
Right.
But if you have time and somehow the pattern comes to your mind a bit, it just clicks like that, then maybe you find it in an easier way.
Right. So that's a very important thing. And I think everyone in the chat who said bishop g2 and or I think few of you said queen f4, but guys, that's just lost after knight g4. But bishop g2, you realize that after check here, as Judith just mentioned, this is a forced mate. So that's the reason why you have to go back and think here as to what is that little intermezzo that you want to play.
But in this position, if you go back bishop g2 and we go all the way to queen g1 again,
okay,
of course your first thing would be to start calculating further, right? Okay, I don't want to get checkmate, so I have to give a check. So if I go queen b8, king f7, queen f4, and okay, maybe I saved the game. So queen b8 is saving the game. Then you see that king h7 or king g7, right? King g7, you say, queen b2. But oh, queen b2 e5. Too bad. The knight on g4 defends and covers the long diagonal from the
checks.
Queen h2, no matter, you can move the bishops, protect against the checkmate, but knight f2 and I lose the queen.
Correct.
So bad. So let's go back to bishop g2 and let's try to figure out, can I save the game? With a different move order. Does it make any difference? If I give a check on b8, c8, d8, can I make c8 pushing the king on the white square on h7? Does it make a difference? It cannot be probably because of queen c2 and queen g2.
Correct. So he must play king f7 then.
So king f7 or king g7 probably both win.
Both win.
So then you think queen d8, you see king f7, no change. So sometimes it's the calculation goes elimination process.
Correct.
And then, okay, let's see queen b8.
Queen b8 is the very important move, okay?
And then now you have to calculate. So, okay, queen b8, what does it difference? Okay, king f7, king g7, and then you start calculating. King f7, then, there is a move that actually I can save it, right?
And here the move, guys, anyone who wants to guess what is after king f7, white to play and save this one? The only move? Yes. Sriram Chakradev.
I'm not sure the only move. Is it the only move?
You can also go bishop g2 here, right? Because in the end you have queen f4.
Yes.
Correct.
But immediately queen f4 is the simplest. Because actually after queen f4, yeah, black can even push it for nothing.
Correct. So you can't go here. And then king g7 is the next move that you consider. And so what's the move here now? How does white hold this? I think here it's the only move.
Yes, because if now bishop g2, then we transpose
Right.
to the line that knight g4, queen b2, check e5, right? But there is a saving move.
Sorry, queen, king here, and e5. So the saving move, yes, very good. Altaf Mankad, Tushar Sharma, Suja Biju, Avyay Bhatt, well done. The move is queen to e5.
Yeah,
And
this is a way of saving the game to pin the knight. This is how to you can also block it, right? But actually here, king f7 is still possible because now bishop g2, then knight
you
g4.
lose the queen.
Well, actually you
You
lose
lose
a
the
piece
piece.
because,
Piece, yes.
yeah, because king h3, queen g2.
Right. But you can do queen f4 now. The same thing, pinning the knight.
Yes.
So after king here,
So black understands that after queen check, he cannot go king g7, king f7. Ah, but I have king h7. So maybe I win the game after all.
and so now king h7. Let's say he goes here, check, king h3, queen g1, and I think it's time to resign, or is it, guys?
This is the big question.
Why to play? What do you do here?
Yeah, if there would be no piece on the board of g2 bishop, e3, and the queen, then it's a stalemate. But is there an option to give up all the three pieces, forcing black to take all three pieces?
And our chat is very, very keen on giving one check here. If we see, they all want to go, not all, but majority of them want to go bishop e4 check because it looks the most tempting. The bishop gives a check.
Yes, because for the moment you don't get checkmate if you give a check.
Right.
But the problem is that king g7, and even though white can go and defend the second rank by queen b2, but it's only temporary defense because after e5, queen h2 mate is not threatening, but knight f2, yes.
So bishop e4 is not correct, but all those who have mentioned here, queen b1, wow, and who are they? Dhanai, SS, Derek, Chess Unblocked, Sanket, Bhavya, Game King, Sumit, Pritham, and Preet. Well done, guys. But what if I just take the queen, Judith? This is the final move of today.
Well, I know what is the move, and I love it that this is the end of this end game.
And what's the move now, guys? And at least we want all of you to write down here, at least 100 of you should write down white to play and saving the game. Yes, fantastic. Everyone in the chat has found this tremendous job, guys. The move is bishop e4. Pritham, Avyay, Satya, Shaibi, Shriram, Mukul, Abhishek, Sanket, Mayuresh, Dhanai. Fantastic job. In comes a check with the bishop. The queen is also attacked. You have to take, and it is a stalemate. As promised, David Gurganidze delivers a position with a stalemate. So we looked at four positions, Judith, today. And here is the small thing that they all have to do in order to get uh, the prize of today, which is your book. And we'll have four people who we'll look at the number. We'll decide based on. So what you guys have to do is you have to write in the comments as to which one was your favorite study out of the four, and why did you like it? What was it that you learned from it, and why did you like it? So the best ones will get the book of Judith, The Game of Queens, and we will decide on the number of books because we have a few of them with us, and we will decide on how many based on the number of comments. So after this stream ends, please do write down which one was your favorite one. and what did you learn from it, and why was it your favorite? Judith, that's the contest for today, and we'll wait for their comments.
Before we say goodbye, I would like to thank you, Sagar, for picking up this adventure, the Chess Artistry Adventure, which I organized for the second time. And I do hope that we are going to have a continuation. But also, I would like to thank you not only for our audience, but the other composers who we did not have time to show their end games. Diduk, and some of them, they are really amazing. Also, Nielsen, for example, two of the top composers, I believe, but also we had Polasek, Avni, Passmann, Sprenger, Rus. Yeah, you have them here. Also, yes, Diduk is here, Pavel Rostov. Grinev I also have with Yarmonov, Smolkin, who is younger, with Kovacevic, Jurashevich as well. Because I don't want to leave anybody out, because I'm appreciated to all of them, all the 14 composers and their composing partners, because I do appreciate all of them in a different way. So I want everybody to know all of these studies that first of all we contributed to Paul Benko, but also that I hope that we can uplift a little bit this kind of artwork in chess.
For sure, Judith, you're doing amazing work, because I think, as you said, these composers are geniuses, and more people should know about the work that they are doing. And for that, I think the remaining 10 studies, we will be doing 10 live streams for each position. I'll be doing it over the days before the Global Chess Festival, and people will get to solve them as well. So we'll make sure that all the studies, because they are very, very interesting ones, so we'll do that.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Judith,
I
for
hope you
joining in.
enjoyed it.
Yes, and once again, a huge thanks from everyone for making sure that the Global Chess Festival happens. I think it's one of the most beautiful additions to the world of chess. I know how difficult it is for you to organize this entire thing, and how much time it takes of yours to put this all together. So greatly appreciate the work that you do.
Thank you very much. I have a good team, so we can do big things.
Thanks, Judith. See
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Guys, that was Judith Polgar joining us, and it was phenomenal to look at all the studies together with her, especially the last one where she explained all of those little nuances. But I think you guys have to tell which one was your favorite one. I'm going to end the stream now, and you can comment below. The books will be sent to the ones who make a very nice comment and tell why they like the specific study out of the 4 ones that we described today. The remaining 10 will be discussed over the next few days, that we will be looking at them, and there you can solve each one of them. For now, this is Sagar Shah signing off, guys. Bye bye. Thank you all for being wonderful in the chat. It was great fun interacting with all of you. Bye bye.